The gun misfired first time. William Deighton heard the click in the dark and turned towards it. Then the second shot came. Hit him in the head. He went down hard on the lane, and the two men moved in, kicked him, stamped on him, took what was in his pockets, and left him there in the mud. A government officer murdered in Halifax, November 10th, 1769. And some say he never truly left Bullclose Lane afterwards. There are roads in Halifax that people still speak about carefully. Not loudly, not directly. Just with a slight lowering of the voice. Bullclose Lane is one of them. Especially at night. And especially when the weather comes down off Beacon Hill. Because people still remembered what happened there. A stranger from the south who walked into the Calder Valley and disturbed something already rooted deep inside it. By the late 1760s, the valleys around Halifax were thick with clipped gold. Real coins. Portuguese gold mostly, only thinner than they should have been, and lighter in the hand. Tiny amounts shaved from the edges, little by little. Enough taken from enough coins, and fortunes could be made quietly. Up on the hills around Cragg Vale, behind farmhouse walls, and inside weaving cottages, men and women worked late into the night beside the shuttered windows. Files scraping softly in the candlelight, and gold dust gathered carefully onto a cloth. Small furnaces burning low, and metal dies hidden beneath the floorboards. This was dangerous work, profitable work. And over time the trade spread so deeply through the valleys that many people stopped seeing it as a crime at all. It simply became part of life. Money in the pocket, food on the table, debts paid, questions avoided. Some feared the coiners, others admired them. And at the centre of it all stood David Hartley, the king of the coiners. To some he was little better than a gangster. To others he was a man keeping poor communities alive while London took what it could from the north. But beneath the stories and admiration, there was another reality too. Threats, violence, witnesses learning very quickly that certain names were safest left unspoken. And most people understood the same thing. Keep your head down. Spend the money. Say nothing. Then William Deighton arrived in Halifax. He came north from the south of England in 1759, an excise officer, supervisor of taxes and excise. Not a grand man, not an aristocrat, but disciplined, severe. The sort of man who believed laws only mattered if somebody was willing to enforce them. And Halifax didn't warm to him. The valleys distrusted outsiders already, especially southern officials. Men sent north to collect tax from people who already felt they had very little left to give. To many locals, Deighton represented interference, authority, money leaving the valley. And worse than that, he would not bend. Publicans disliked him, traders disliked him, men lowered their voices when he entered taverns. But Deighton carried on. And slowly, through the ordinary business of his work, he began noticing the coins. At first, it was just a few. Edges slightly wrong, weight not quite right in the hand. Then more of them. Again and again. Different pockets, different taverns, different villages. Yet, always the same feeling. Something organised sat behind it. Something larger than simple petty fraud. And once the idea took hold in him, he couldn't leave it alone. That was the danger in William Deighton. Not rage, not swagger, persistence. And he kept asking questions, kept following the rumours, kept listening inside crowded public houses when conversations dipped the moment that he appeared. He walked roads that most men avoided after dark. He met informants quietly, returned home alone at night. And the deeper that he pushed into the valleys, the clearer it became that the clipping trade was everywhere. Not hidden on the edges of society, inside it. Running through farms, taverns, workshops and homes. A criminal network so woven into local life that many people no longer separated it from survival itself. And still, Deighton kept going. People noticed that too. Across the Calder Valley, the word spread about the southern officer who would not let things lie. He simply kept going. And eventually, through informants and pressure, Deighton managed something few thought possible. He arrested David Hartley himself, the king of the coiners. Taken into custody in Halifax and escorted towards York to stand trial for the treason against the crown. And for a brief moment, people thought it might be over. But instead, the valley grew quieter and far more dangerous. Because Hartley's brother, Isaac, was still there, and the men around him now understood something clearly. If Deighton continued, others would fall next. More arrests, more names, more men turning informer to save themselves. The walls were beginning to close in, and somewhere in the Calder Valley, inside a room full of frightened and angry men, a decision was made. The officer had to die. On the night of November 10th, 1769, William Deighton was walking home near Bull Close Lane, and two hired killers waited for him in the dark. Robert Thomas, Matthew Normanton, farm workers. Men paid to stop the investigation permanently. The gun misfired the first time. Deighton heard the click and he turned towards it. Then the second shot came, hit him in the head. And after he fell, the attackers moved in, kicked him, stamped on him, robbed his body, and left him there in the lane. His death shocked Halifax, but it didn't stop the hunt for the coiners. If anything, it hardened it. Rewards were offered. Informants came forward. And another man, a Halifax solicitor named Robert Parker, began gathering together the machinery of the Crown. But that's another part of the story. Because the memory people carried longest wasn't the courtroom, Not the warrants, not the executions. It was the lane, the murder, and the bodies that were later hung in chains above Halifax on Beacon Hill, displayed for the valleys below to see. And according to local folklore, one body was fixed so its arm pointed down towards Bullclose Lane itself, towards the place where William Deighton died. Today, the road looks ordinary. Cars pass through it. People walk by without noticing. But the story stayed. And inside the old Black Wall Hall, near the site of the killing, people still occasionally speak about strange experiences there. A heaviness in certain rooms, the sense of being watched, and a presence lingering longer than it should. Though even now, people disagree on who it is. Some believe Deighton still walks the lane. Others, they think it may be one of the men who killed him, unable to leave the place behind. And perhaps that uncertainty is fitting, because the story of William Deighton was never simple. To some, he was a brave man who stood against organised crime when others were too frightened to act. To others, he was an outsider who walked into a valley he didn't fully understand and pushed too far. But either way, the Calder Valley remember him. And on certain dark nights in Halifax, people still glance up towards Beacon Hill and then back down towards Bullclose Lane, as if part of the story is still pointing that way. Giles, signing off.